Hello everybody, hope you're having a great day. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon here on the homestead. I had a few things that I want to get done. I'm starting a new challenge today. I'm going to try to do a 40-day challenge. I'm going to see if we can do a video every day for 40 days. Hopefully we can come up with enough content to fill these videos, but stick around, it could get interesting. It is just kind of a quiet Sunday. Michelle is gone to visit her parents, and so it is just me. I need to move the chickens for the second time today. I need to make sure that we have enough water for all the animals, make sure everything's good. I thought I'd just bring you along for the ride. What I'll do is I'll take my board here. I'm going to lay it right here at the front of the chicken tractor. And as I move it down this direction, that way I'll be able to know that I moved it a full length. Move them twice a day. This is the second time that we're moving them today. It's about 2:30, 2:45 actually. So let's get them moved. Usually I have to let them know that we're moving, make sure nobody's stuck in the back. And then we just slowly drag. Don't have wheels on this one, but really don't need it. Really easy to move. Now I know where my board is here. I've come one full revolution, I've moved forward one full complete pass for the second time today. Some more water. So if you saw in my last video, we were talking about the chickens. They are growing, they're getting bigger, and it's time they get out of this grow out pen. So we have ordered our wire to get them moved. It's supposed to be here Wednesday, so we'll be able to get started on them. They should be good for the rest of the day. Let's get the ghost a little water. Rudy is in rut right now, and you really need to be careful when you're around goats that are in rut. Always make sure that you're paying attention to them. I'll give you one tip. I'm not going to touch him because he stinks. If you ever have a goat like this and they're being a little bit aggressive, see, he's just playing. He knows better than to try anything. But if that ever happens to you, if a goat is ever aggressive, you see that beard hanging down there? You get you a good handful of that, and you just grab on, and he will not resist. You can pretty much lead him wherever you want to. Back yourself out of the fence, and you can get away from him. But you do want to keep your eye on him. Be careful. We've never had problem with Rudy being aggressive, especially toward me. He knows better. He'll play a little bit. He'll do his little stand-up deal like he's, going, but that's just playing. He's not real happy with me being in here, but I'm just going to let him know who's the boss. So he knows I'm the boss. He knows better. Right now he's coming up to me to see if I got anything to eat. Turnips are looking good. These have been broadcast, so they are not in any rows, so there are some weeds mixed in. But looking good. I'm real happy with the germination on these. So while I'm out here, and while it's such a beautiful day out here, it's not real hot, it's just beautiful, I thought I would talk about something really important that we do that we do on our homestead and have done since the very beginning, back in our 3 acres and a dream days where we had a blog. But we've always have kept a some kind of a logbook, ledger book, whatever you want to call it, journal about our homestead. And so I was just getting a new one together, and I thought I would talk about why is it important to do that. And there's a lot of good reasons that do that. And I'm using just a cheapy Walmart journal book here. You don't have to use anything this fancy. You can use something simple as a little notebook or spiral bound notebook. It doesn't have to be fancy. But I want to share with you some reasons why you should have a logbook or a journal or ledger, whatever you choose to call it, for your homestead. First of all, it really helps you keep up with your expenses, the money that you spend, on your homestead. Things like buying feed, buying seed, buying tools. It helps you to keep up with that. So that's you know, one of the things that we keep up with. Just started this one, but you can see it's just a real simple expense tracker. Things that we spend: feed, goat feed, chicken feed, seed, all these things like that we keep up with. It's good to be able to know how much you're spending on your different ventures. You say, well, wait, you know, if I'm not doing this for money, and I'm not trying to, you know, earn money on this, you still need to know how much something is costing you. You still need to know how much input, how much money you've put into each operation that you've got going. Just for your records. Because, you know, things have a way, money has a way of disappearing unless you really keep track of it and chase it down. And so it's good to know what you spend on things, and it's good to write it down. So that's the first thing we put in ours, and that's the first thing I'd recommend. It starts you a little expense tracker there in your journal. And also kind of going along with your expenses, income. You know, you should have an income tracker. Let's say, for example, you know, this past summer we sold our two goats, our 2 kid goats that were born this past spring. So it's important to keep up with how much money you spend and how much money you're bringing in. Maybe you've got chickens and you're selling eggs. It's good to keep up with that. Another thing that we keep up with in our journal, especially this year, is we keep up with our hay count. We do. We have a little. I just make a little quick chart of our hay. How many bales that we have on hand, how many bales we added, how many bales we fed, how many bales we lost. If you saw our last video, you know we lost about 6 bales. So we keep track of our hay. We keep track of how much hay we've got left and how much we need, just to kind of know where we are, so we don't have to come out here every day and count and say, oh, well, we know exactly right now we had 28 bales in stock. When we feed a bale, we just come over here and write it down. If we lose bales, you can see that we lost 6 bales. We wrote down the date and wrote down the tally. So it helps us to keep up with our hay. Another thing that logbooks are great for is your garden. Keeping up with varieties that you plant, because I don't know if you're like me, you get so excited when you go to plant your garden and you buy all these varieties of tomatoes or all these varieties of plants, then you just totally forget. You totally forget, you know, what you planted, where you planted what. It's so important to know, you know, if you could just simply just draw a little chart of your garden and what varieties you planted where, because I guarantee you, you're going to forget, you know, and you're going to wonder, where did I plant those San Marzanos, or where did I plant the early girl tomatoes, or where did I plant this variety of seed? So keep up. So it's good to keep up with your garden, what kind of seeds and varieties you planted, where you put them, how they did. You know, we usually make notes if we try a variety and it doesn't do well. We'll make a note of that in our journal and say, hey, you know, we tried this, did not work well. If we have one that works great, we'll put it in our journal, because it's always great to go back to these and see the things that you had written down that you had forgotten about. We have these going back, like I said, from the time we bought this property, which is back in 2010. So we have logbooks and journals and all kind of things going all the way back to 2010 that we can look back on and see what planted here, what worked and what did not work. We have tried a lot that did not work, but so it's great to have a little area in your ledger for your garden journal to record what's in your garden. So we keep up with we put in here when we planted our when we tilled the garden under finally after we turned everything in, and we put down here that when we planted our turnips, we planted our turnips on 9/16. So it's good to have a little logbook in your garden. Not only just that, and whatever animals that you might be raising, keeping up with them, keeping up with records, things of when they were wormed, or when they were treated for this, or when they received this, or when our chicks, the day that they hatched. We keep up with all of that information because it's good information that I always forget unless I write it down. That's the thing. That's why we have these, because if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. And so if you write it down, it's there. I mean, it's right here, and you can go back to it. I can pull out our garden journals from 2012 and tell you what we planted and when we planted it and how it did. So it's just great information to have for the future. And if you kind of scatterbrained like I am, if it's not written down, I'm not going to remember it. But you can also put on there about your animals, things like things that you notice, like you can put in your, I wrote in ours under notes, I wrote in there that I noticed that Daisy is gaining weight. She's looking healthier and she's looking better. I also marked down the date that I noticed that Rudy was in rut. So I marked down on the 12th is when I first noticed that Rudy was in rut. More likely he was probably in there before, but I noticed that on the 12th of September, Rudy was in rut. And I'm noticing now, I'm probably going in here now, I'm noticing that I think our does are beginning to come into season. It's usually the buck. What we have found is the buck comes into rut first, and then the does are not quite ready, not quite receptive, and then finally they'll become receptive. And so I'm beginning to notice that the girls are starting to get receptive. So you can write that in here. Things with our chickens, notes in here to buy the chicken wire, things that we notice that needs to be done. If there's equipment that we think that we need to buy, or we're having a problem with something, we make notes of it in here. This is one of those things that it's difficult to start, but once you do and you get used to it and it becomes part of your daily habit, you'll thank yourself later because you'll have the records to come, all those things that you've forgotten about. So I highly encourage you to go pick you up a notebook and start your homestead logbook. You'll thank yourself for it later. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope that something you saw here today helps you in some way to be more self-sufficient. Remember, start wherever you are. Get outside and do something. You'll be glad you did. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. I'll see you on the next one, which should be tomorrow. Bye, guys.